Welcome to LoFi Bedtime Very Tales. In this episode, I present to you the tale of Lotte. Lotte is a girl who says a whole lot, almost everything, that she is thinking, which can be good and can be not so good. Lotte learns the lesson that it is best, perhaps, to only say what is helpful and necessary, which, guess what, papercut, helps her learn what you already know, and that it is best to do things today to make tomorrow better. Well, hello there. Have I ever told you the story about Charlotte, or Charlotka, as her babushka called her, or Lotte, as almost everyone else called her? It's what she liked, and in life, we almost always try to make happen what we like, not what we do not like. Birthday cupcakes instead of birthday science exams seems to be the normal and desired and anticipated and expected for most people, even scientists. Whatever. Lotte was always, and I mean that in the definitive definition of the term, talkative. She was loquacious, garrulous, chitted the chat with the audacious abandon. Let it all out if there was something inside, and there was always something inside. As an infant, and oh, what a cutie patootie she was. She was constantly creating sounds. Her parents encouraged her to articulate whatever she was experiencing, and they still do. End of story. That was pretty good, right? Oh, you want more than that? I think I can draw up more depictions about Lotte, and I know that I can and will tell you too. The deal is that you have to listen to the end in order to learn something that may help you in your life forever. Or you don't have to. If you choose to, well, then onward we go. Lotte lived with her parents, brother 4 years older. He was 13 at the time of the events in this here tale. Lancelot was and is still his name. And her cat Wild, with an E at the end of the D, he was named after someone who sure said a lot too. Since Lancelot is 13 and 4 years older than Lotte, you can compute the arithmetic. Due to her birthday, she was in 3rd grade at Olive Valley Elementary, where the mascot is the Roadrunner. The school colors are dark blue and a mustard yellow. Lotte loved that since yellow was her favorite color. And guess what, Hazelnut? Everyone knew that too. You see, Lotte told almost everyone almost everything that she thought. So, if she had cantaloupe with a sprinkle of salt for breakfast on a school day, her teacher, Ms. Kinney, almost certainly knew. Her prized pals, Ava and Sam, were aware of what she ate for almost every meal. I will aspire to not overuse the word almost moving forward in this here story. I know you may grow tired of hearing it. I can say it all day. Well, almost all day. No, kidding. Ava may be considered a closer confidant to being Lotte's numera una amiga, since they have known one another prior to knowing the alphabet. Ava is a gem among stones, a real good person, salt of the earth, salt of the sea. You get it. We all need someone like Ava in our lives at all times. Ava is also quite serious. She can giggle and has started writing her own knock-knock jokes to try and lighten her own demeanor up a lot. It was Ms. Kinney's suggestion and earnest encouragement that facilitated Ava into the "Who's there?" followed by a punchy pun business. And then there's Sam, short for Sammenthal. Yep, that's her real first name. Her parents wanted her to have to explain to people the first time she met them in her life why she was named Sammenthal instead of Samantha. Her parents had an absurd sense of humor. After all, her father's name was Merceau, so one can only deduce from where the seed of absurdity sprouted. Sam would announce that she had the capacity to complete a task by stating, "Can do, Camus." Ms. Kinney got it, most others did not. Sam had a broad and inspiring sense of humor, and for those of you taking notes at home, Sam's parents never, ever told her why she was named Sammenthal. So the answer she provided to people's inevitable question was, "My parents never told me why, and I am okay with that. Therefore, you should be too. Just call me Sam." And now we go back to our main story. Lotte had what some may say was a utile filter, or shaky sensor, or just a simply terrible time clapping her trap. In regular conversation, she may say something that was unnecessary to the story, speak about someone else, or share something that may slightly offend someone who was present. She could keep a secret like it was the most prized possession she ever had, but little things often came out as fast and as unexpected as a sneeze. It was kinda funny. She had been raised by her parents to not do this, but the impulsive imp that she was, well, Lotte was the girl who told too much. I shall provide you with illuminating examples so that you may comprehend where your author is communicating from. So there is absolutely no misunderstanding. I am communicating from Earth. One evening, her parents were listening to jazz, Coltrane's choicest compositions, and playing their after-dinner backgammon game whilst delighting in their digestives. Tonight, it was a tawny port if you were really that interested in knowing. I could go on about port wine, whether it be tawny or ruby or what have you, but for the sake of this story about a girl who told too much, I shall not. I purple promise you that I will stop now. Mom was demonstrating her successful strategy of advancing her checkers at will, or moving her men for those of you in the UK, when Lotte declared that a fellow student's parents were getting divorced. Lotte's father took the lead by asking if she were broaching this complicated conversation because she was concerned about the state of her parents' marriage, and when Lotte quickly answered, "Not at all," her father asked, "Lotte, why are you bringing this up? We always welcome having discussions. However, this seems like a private matter that we should not be speaking on. This is not really our business to be talking about. Understand?" Mom followed with, "Sugar Smile." That's what her mom nicknamed her. Isn't it sweet? Said, "We would not want anyone to be speaking about us when they do not know the whole story. Does that make sense like a white picket fence?" Lotte, being the whimsical wit that she is, replied with, "Pennies, nickels, dimes, and $half, Mom." Lotte did not get offended. She just wanted to say something, and she provided the first thought that entered her mind. She was not worried about the state of her parents' marriage or anything. Lotte then began to ask where port wine comes from, and then that whole discussion began. She was not sorry she started this conversation because she learned about geography, nature, sailing around the globe, and foreign languages. And for the record, she did not ask for a sip, and her parents did not offer a sip of the wine. There was the time at the market when she was shopping with Ava, Ava's mom, and her mom. They were going through the aisles and wondering why there were so many options for pickles. I mean, really, there are more types of pickles than jellies, jams, and marmalades. That, my patient listener, makes as much sense as a flower driving a convertible in the Irish Sea heading to the Isle of Man. Back to aisle 5 we go. As they were looking at various pickled vegetables, Ava asked her mother if they could try a certain spicy style. Her mother declined and made a suggestion for something sweet and spicy. Lotte was looking at a brand that was priced lower than all the others. It was the store's name brand. Lotte announced that Sam had this brand all over her house, from her dish soap to her plant-based milk to her cereal, and this means that Sam's family is probably poor. Ava's mother got a bit dramatic and gasped, and yes, she actually placed her right hand over her heart. Ava had witnessed this before and did not react. Lotte's mother calmly replied, "Well now, honey, Lotte, that may not be true at all. You see, I used to work in this business, and the store's name brand is actually another name brand that is sold under the store's name." That's a lot of times to say name in a sentence, don't you think? Sorry for the interruption. Her mother continued, "If you'd like, we can compare all the nutritional information and where it was produced, and you will see that I am not misleading you. I do not know or care to know the financial status of Sam's family. Perhaps they are being more mindful of spending since Sam has 5 siblings, 3 dogs, and 2 cats. You and Lancelot are not too picky, and that makes things easier for your daddy-o and I to shop for." Ava's mother, not getting the reaction she so desired, entered the conversation with, "I hope that Lotte is not conducting an inventory when she is at our home." Ava saved the day with, "Mom, please. Just please." Lotte apologized and explained that she was trying to figure it out, and then started asking why Wild was a solitary cat. Her mother stated that Wild was a bit of a particular and peculiar cat who did not do so well with others. Spoiler alert! A female tabby showed up at their home months after the story is finished, and she stayed. Lancelot named her Flannery after a writer he had just become familiar with. Flannery and Wild snuggled and cuddled for many years to come. I like happy endings, especially with kittens. So when they were driving home and Lotte was eating grapes, red globe for your listening pleasure, and Mom asked why Lotte said that, Lotte answered, "I just thought that it was time for me to say something. Ava's mom was talking a lot. You called it blathering under your breath. I like that word, and will use it when someone cannot seem to stop themselves from talking. Ava thinks you are funny, and she said that she wishes her mom would dial it down at times and be more like you. I told her that was nice of her to say, but that you cheated backgammon." Mom snickered and giggled out, Your father lets me. It's our little goof. Don't tell people that, though. Lotte, you have to restrain yourself. Don't tell anyone about your brother having a hard time with math. That would break his heart, Lotte affirmed. I would never do that, Mom. That's a secret. I can keep a secret. Mother added, you have to think if what you are going to say is necessary and helpful. Never say unhelpful things as they can hurt people's feelings, and adding unnecessary things is just too much. We don't need to do too much, right? Lotte thought and avowed, Yep, true you, Mom. She then asked Mom what type of grapes make port wine. Mom tapped herself on her forehead and did not reply. This was the sign for Lotte to employ her memory. Lotte did, and almost all the grapes were in her silly belly when her mother successfully parallel parked half a block north of their house. They live in a very populated city and do not have the luxury of a suburban driveway, you know. Since you have been so patient, I will now tell you 3 brief times that Lotte may have said too much of what she was thinking. There was the time at the ice cream shop when a man of rather large proportions came in the shop and the counter person asked him what he wanted, and Lotte answered for him with, I am not sure of flavor, but he certainly wants a triple scoop. The man became visibly upset and stated, I am lost. Can you please tell me how to find Ferdinand's flowers? My daughter has had a baby girl. I'm an Opa. I am so blessed. Lotte had an aching in her stomach that did not go away despite having a rainbow sherbet already in her hand. She was with Sam and Sam's mom, who did not overhear any of this. As the man walked out, he looked at Lotte and shook his head. Lotte knew what that meant. She did finish her frozen confection since it was given to her from the generosity of Sam's mom. Then there was the time that she was waiting with her father in the car for Lancelot to come out of his art class. He is an amazing sketcher and takes a class at a special art school. She noticed a man smoking a cigarette while looking around nervously. Gross with a capital yuck. Never, ever, never, ever smoke cigarettes, please. The man huffed and puffed his way to developing one of many illnesses caused by smoking those coffin nails. As all the typical students had emptied out of the class, Father got a bit concerned and suggested that they go inside. As they went inside, they saw the man who had been smoking speaking to a woman. The woman said something about him taking too long with his phone call. The man reported that it was very important and he needed to take his time. Lotte did not remember the man being on the phone at all, so naturally, Lotte provided something. She informed the woman with, He was smoking a cigarette. He wasn't on the phone. The woman began to speak likely vulgarisms in a foreign language to Lotte, not to her father though. Her father apologized, and Lancelot appeared beaming with a smile for miles. He had been registered for a national art show with a sketching of a Schnauzer dog. Actually, one of Sam's family dogs. I probably did not mention to you that Lancelot was sweet on Sam's older sister, Skye, did I? They spend many an afternoon sipping hot lemon tea together and holding off on saying things for the first time in their lives to one another. Anyway, after all the congratulatory conversation had concluded, father calmly stated, "Little one, please stop letting it all out. Some things are better left unsaid." Lotte knew that she was not in trouble, and she knew she needed to make more of an effort than she had been doing. Then there was the time when Lotte demonstrated she could keep some thoughts that may not be helpful for others to hear. Ms. Kinney was speaking to the class how there would be a substitute teacher for several weeks, filling in for her, and the class should employ proper decorum while the students were under his charge. Yes, she used those words. She was an excellent teacher. One student, Lonnie, asked why Ms. Kinney would be absent. Miss Kinney took a breath and disclosed, "My mother is having heart surgery. She will need me to be with her to help her heal up." Lotte thought about how her great-uncle Louis had heart surgery last year and how everyone in the family was very scared for him. Louis had been very unhealthy for many years, and his actions had really negatively impacted his heart. Lotte almost asked, "Does your mom do unhealthy things and not care about herself?" Or, "Your family must be really worried because this is a very serious situation." Instead, Lotte remained silent and let the information settle. She thought that what she communicated could not have been very helpful or necessary. During backgammon time that evening, Lotte informed her parents about this. A "Bravo!" was cheered. Mother had a bit of insight and asked her daughter, "Lotte, are you trying to contribute to the conversation whenever you say things?" Lotte looked over at Wild, who stared at her with an intention of anticipation, waiting for an answer. Lotte thought and replied, "I think so. I always want to be part of what people are talking about." Mother smiled and stated, "Sometimes it's just nice enough to be present, Sugar Smile." Lotte knew what that meant and added, "It sure is. True you, Mom." So the lesson in this here tale is that sometimes, many times, unless it is helpful and necessary, do not say it. There is always time to talk about nonsensicalities and engage in nincompoopery. However, it is not optimal to operate in such a way as to massacre a moment with detrimental declarations that do not contribute to convivial conversations. Now I am going to that art exhibit to see that sketch of a schnauzer named Shotzi. And I wish the best for you.